Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. I love you all. My name is miahtheking, and do you want to hear a funny random fact? Sonic the Hedgehog, his full name is Ogilvy Maurice Wentworth Hedgehog. Yes, I'm serious. I know, right? I never would have thought. Anyway, thanks so much for clicking on this video, and I hope you stick around for more videos. If not for the funny jokes and facts at the start of each video, then perhaps because I can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less. Now, let me prove it. So today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Mindseye, a single-player third-person action-adventure game developed by Build-A-Rocket Boy, which is definitely one of the best development names I've ever heard. Published by IO Interactive Partners AS, which is one of the most annoying publishers I've ever had to type out. Released not in early access and selling for $60. Wow, $60 for what looks like a AAA game. It reminds me of the good old days. So what even is this game anyway, and is it even worth it? Well, let's find out. So you play as, I think his name is Jacob Diaz, and basically he's some ex-military guy who has a robot in his brain or something, and now he's working as private security for some big corporation, and there's a mystery afoot. So let's dive in and see what the mystery's about. Whatever. So let's just start off with the pros that I noticed in this game. Starting off first with the graphics. Now I have no choice but to talk about the graphics because of something pretty damn phenomenal that I'll bring special attention to later. But overall, the graphics looked great. At least for me, on my machine, they looked great. With great flow, animations, color choices, contrast and sharpness, shadow effects, lighting effects. I mean, look at the level of detail in this room. Now, the whole game looks like this for the most part. Now, it does get a bit iffy here and there, especially when you're out and about traveling the world. At that point, the graphics kind of get a downgrade, but it's not too awful. Overall, the game looks great, but here's the best seller right here. I mean, just check out these facial animations. Now, I've lowered the volume, so you can't really hear what they're saying. Maybe you can, I don't know. But take my word for it, their lips are matching up perfectly, and that's not even all. You can see the looks of uncertainty, fear, anger, happiness, just from a look, and it all does, and all it does is make me think way back to the early 2000s, being impressed with the facial expressions from Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Like, these are some of the best I've ever seen, and I hope y'all get to see them this good as well, and you won't have some broken game in front of you that doesn't let you see it. But, holy crap, I was super impressed with the facial animations. Next up for the positives is the sound design. Overall, to be brief, it's really good. The music is kind of mysterious and sci-fi-y, which is pretty much the entire tone of the game, so it fits really well in almost every situation. The sound effects sound really good too, though they do seem a bit muted for some reason, despite being at full volume level. They just sound a bit deflated, which is kind of a bummer. Then you've got the voice acting, where it really works here. I mean, everyone is voice acted, they got decent pairings, and they're all doing a great job, at least in my opinion. When they sound excited, you can tell they're excited. When they're angry, you can tell, and it feels good. Everyone speaking in the game did good work as far as I'm concerned, and they really made me believe I was listening to the character and not the actor. So for me, great job all around. Next up for the positives is the production value of the game along with its user interface. Overall, the production value is clearly there, with cutscenes hitting you left and right to really help immerse you into the game, little minigames for different scenes depending on what you're doing. Although I always had an issue with the little minigames like these in cutscenes because you're so focused on doing the minigame that you can't pay any attention to anything else happening on the screen, so that's kind of, I don't like, but anyway, then you've got credits during the start of the game cutscenes. Like, there's just a lot of good going for this game in terms of its production value and its apparent size and scope. As for its UI, it's simple and easy enough to understand. It's also scant and barely there, thus not overcrowding you or giving you too much to mess with, as well as leaving a lot of room for growth down the line when new things are added or unlocked via the gameplay. Unfortunately, though, that's all I can really think of to say positively about the game, and now we got to go into the negatives. But first, thank you so much for helping me get so close to 4,000 subs. Now, I just need another 1,000, and I'll be very close to reaching my goal of 5,000, so I'd really appreciate your help in helping me get there. Also, my videos are designed to help, but they can't really do their job if you're not notified when they release, so make sure you hit that notification button down below, alright? Okay, now we gotta go on to the negatives, unfortunately, and the first negative for me was the gameplay. Now, it's not all bad, at least on surface level. Now, let me explain. There is some good here, but unfortunately there's more bad, so I had to put it in the negatives. But let's talk about the good first. For instance, due to the nature of this world, there's a lot of stuff that you can get to do in this game. Drive a car, cover-based shooting mechanics, driving drones, and probably a lot more later in this futuristic world. It even comes with little mini-games, as I mentioned earlier. And none of them are terrible, but none of them are super great either, which I suppose is the main issue here. The game is fairly lackluster in terms of gameplay. Essentially, it boils down to long, boring drive without any radio or dialogue, because there isn't one, down a long, boring highway with nothing interesting happening, to an area where you cover-based shooting mechanics with stupidly easy enemies, just to then have a cutscene where you get to do it all over again. There's no deviation or any reason to go off the beaten path, and you can't even make your own fun, because if you try to play this like GTA, then you're going to have a bad time. The game won't let you do anything you want to do. Here is a clip of me trying to run over some random NPCs to spice things up. And now here's a clip of what happens after I did that. Yes, it started me over. And anytime you just drive a wee bit off the beaten path or try to go somewhere else that's not a main story quest the game doesn't want you to go to or whatever, the NPC will scream at you to get back on the right path.
Where are you going, Diaz? Get to the plains!
You don't even get the satisfaction of getting to drive home after a long day of killing evil mercenaries and go have a brewski with your boy. Instead, they talk about it, you laugh about it, then it fades to black, and you wake up the next day to go about doing the same shit you've already been doing, completely missing the whole chilling with your boy having a beer after a bad day thing. The main problem here overall, and why the gameplay's in the negatives, is because it's nothing new, it's nothing innovative, it's nothing creative, and it's nothing fun. Overall, the gameplay is just a device to drive the story forward, but that's not what video games are supposed to be. But it doesn't offer you anything, right? Like, it's not even that fun. I was pretty much bored the entire time I was playing, which sucked because when I first started, it felt so much like Grand Theft Auto that I was getting hyped, wondering if we'd finally have another game in that style of play. But no, we're not. Next up for the negatives is the stability. Now, I know this game just released, and I know a lot of people are going to give me a lot of flack for this, as they always do. For some reason, despite the fact that I've had no issues on tons of other games, apparently when I have an issue with this game or that game, suddenly it's my PC, and it couldn't possibly be the game. But look, you're going to understand. Sometimes you just got to understand that some games release in a shitty state, and they need to be called out on it. Alright, take off your blinders and realize that they let you down, alright? It's not like the game's going to suddenly magically explode if you say, I didn't like this, okay? The point is, I wasn't having a whole lot of issues. I did have some clipping, and I had some FPS drops, but never anything super awful. It was frequent, which did kind of ruin my mood a little bit, but it wasn't anything game-breaking, so why am I pointing it out? Well, I'm giving a voice to the voiceless, the hundreds of people out there who are crying out that their game is simply too broken for them to play, despite the fact that they've got the specs to run it on. And my PC is pretty awesome too, and yes, I ran into some issues, but nothing game-breaking, though it was grating on my nerves from time to time, thus making my overall enjoyability plummet. And we should never excuse games releasing in this state, ever. There's literally zero reason to excuse this kind of behavior, so it's a negative for them, and I express my apologies to the people out there who had to experience this lack of stability. And last but not least for the negatives is the overall idea here. It's kind of boring. I don't really care about the main character. I don't really care about the world. I don't really know what's going on. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind a good mystery, but here it all feels really slow and anticlimactic. The writing is fine, I suppose. It's not anything great or anything, but this story and this plot and this background is all just kind of missing, or it's just meh, you know, it's mid. There's not really a whole lot here to keep you engaged or interested in as it's all either left vague or left in the dark. You know that your guy was in the military, but you don't know anything else. You know that this guy is your friend, but not why or how. You know you're working for these people, but don't know who they are or their significance. And none of these things will be answered for you because the game is more focused on its solo mystery problem. What this does is it provides a lack of immersion or engagement with the gamers, and then you're forcing them into a world and into a story without any context, which makes it all kind of not matter to the player. You may be interested in the mystery here, but other stuff that the game focuses on you just won't care about, and that's a problem. A minor one, but still an issue, at least in my opinion. I have more to say about this game, but I can't really label them as negatives because they came and went randomly in this category or that one, so let me just tell you about my experience. I entered the game full of hope and vigor, excited for a new experience, but when a random ancient spell was cast on my guy through his connection to a drone in this sci-fi world, I started having my doubts. Upon getting through 11 minutes of cutscene, and finally into the game where I was met with extreme stuttering and FPS drops, so I ended up lowering my graphics, which didn't fix anything. In fact, it made it worse. I had to restart my game, hoping it would be better, only to learn the game does not allow you to skip cutscenes. So here I am, watching the same cutscene from the beginning of the game, unable to skip it. That is now 22 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. From there, I proceeded to walk to a building, and I had another cutscene, go figure, where I got interrogated by some black lady, followed by a driving long, boring distances to this area to shoot at robots, then a long, boring drive to this area to shoot at mercenaries, to a long, boring drive where I entered a magical portal and took part in a weird side adventure within my mind that served absolutely zero purpose that I could tell, where I played as some merc shooting up some bad guys and rescuing some hostage. I have absolutely no idea why I was able to do this, what purpose it served, or what I gained for doing it, or even how I did it. And honestly, it was at this point that I really just lost all interest in the game. It just felt like this is all I'd be doing the whole time. And with the driving being boring, the dialogue being boring, the shooting being boring, and the story rather vague and uninteresting, I kind of just had to stop. On the bright side, it was nice to see a game only charging $60 and yet still look and sound like a AAA game again. On the downside, it didn't play like a $60 game. I remember when I bought GTA 5 for $60 and it blew me away. Now that is a AAA game. This, I see no reason why this game should be charging $60. I see no reason why it would be worth $60 besides the amazing graphics. My final thoughts, it looks good and it sounds good, but it's another example of people thinking graphics make a game, and they simply don't. Gameplay makes a game. You can have shitty graphics and sound, but amazing gameplay, and it'll be a hit seller. So maybe come up with a unique, original, fun, addictive idea for gameplay, and then build a game around that idea. Might work better than just making something look pretty and use it as a platform to tell the story you came up with. In conclusion, to me, it's not worth picking up right now. I just don't see a lot of redeeming factors for this game. Perhaps I'm not deep enough into it yet to really be able to see all it has to offer, but I don't really think that matters. For now, it just didn't seem like it was meant for me. And when you ask for a lot of money, you need to have a far better opener than what I just witnessed if you don't want people to ask for a refund. I don't care if the game gets good at the 10-hour mark. In my mind, if it takes 10 hours to get to the good part of the game, then it's still a shit game, and it just took me 10 hours to get to a slightly more redeemable part of the game. What's my recommendation? I'd say pass on it for now. Perhaps, maybe, if they cleaned it up and they deal with its stability issues, it would at least not be a headache to play. But I really don't want to play it anymore. I was bored, and I simply wasn't interested or invested in the story or characters at all. Everything felt boring and uninspired to me. So for me, I say it's not fun or interesting or worth its asking price. So I'd recommend you pass on it until it gets fixed and it lowers its price if you're absolutely 100% still interested in this. Alright? Alright, but that's all the time I got for today, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.